Alright, so hello everybody, welcome back to another DevSme tutorial. So today we're going to keep building our NoteSaver. If you haven't watched the first video yet, I will link that in the description down below. First of all, I want to thank you all of you for I'm making this video. I have 94 subscribers in this channel, which is absolutely blow my mind. Cause like usually when I think YouTubers say, I just say, oh, they have 1 million, like they kind of like deserve that, but to be honest, kind of they deserve it, but more like because their work. So, and then the viewers, the audience appreciate their work. So thank you about that. I don't want to get too cringy about it. So just a quick thank you for all of you. I'm really excited for getting my custom URL. So we have a custom link to our YouTube channel. That's if you want to, you can share. Once I hit 100, which we are almost there. So thank you very much. It really blows my mind. I appreciate all of you. Want to just watch this video, subscribe, whatever. Thank you for participating in this community. That's why I joined YouTube. And that's, I think, the mission of YouTube, connect people together. Alright, get rid of these stuff. Now let's get back to coding. Again, I want to limit these to 20-minute segments, so it's not too long. So let's go ahead and get started. Was keep finishing up our a little bit more methods. So now what we're going to do is go ahead and implement this fetch all notes. As it sounds, what are we going to literally gonna do is it's just gonna get all the notes back. It's just gonna give us all the notes back. So what's that mean? Well, here's what's gonna happen. We're gonna have a try except here. Alright, the reason I have a try except here is because what we're going to do is we're going to grab files from this notes folder. We're going to grab files from this notes folder because recall the notes folder is where we store all the notes locally. Alright, so we'll go ahead and grab that. So in here we'll say files equals to f for f. This is a list comprehension in lister notes. If is file join notes, comma f. 1 second. Three quotes here. Let me see. Alright, 1 second. Let me. Alright. 1 second, let me just double check to make sure it's the same. So, right there. Alright, so what's gonna happen is this. Let me talk about what's lister going to do. Lister are gonna take in an argument of the file where a specific folder that you wanna find, and this is going to basically gonna return you a list with all the file under it. For example, all the file and folder under it. For example, in here I can just say from OS import lister, the OS function, and in here I can just say lister. What I can do now is this. I can say lister, and I just want to say notes. Now I can say I got this folder, I got this notes back, and then I can also say maybe we got the home folder. I think maybe not, or maybe you can just say. I'm not sure how to get to the index folder, but you can imagine that notes. It's also going to list directories as well, so list folders. Hello is a file name without file extension because we don't really need it since it's raw data. And then it's also going to list folders. That's why we're going to store is the file, just to double check in case somebody messes with the notes folder. So you're just going to add the file that adds the stuff. Or add the file path that is an actual file. It's file going to return true if it's a file, return false otherwise. And they're going to join the paths together. So it's just going to be a complete path. For example, it should be like note / hello exclamation mark, for example. So this is list comprehension. I'm not going to talk too much about it. I will be sure to link list comprehension into the description if you want to learn more. I will link that into description. Yeah, but this is basically what's gonna happen. And then if we go ahead and take a look, what's gonna happen when set import from os.pass import string from os import is file. From os.pass import is file. Now let's go ahead and take a look. And now you can see this just, okay, it doesn't have it. So it's just literally the file name. I'm not sure what's happening drawing here, but you can see this is just the file name that's what we got here. Alright, so this is just going to return list. That is have the file name. You can see that we have a for loop here. We use f_hour variable. That's track of each file name. And it's only going to append to this list if it's indeed a file, as we check here. Alright, so what the except going to do is if our directory doesn't exist, which means maybe the user is trying to just fetch all the notes, but they didn't create any notes in exist for some reason, which then we will do is pass. Actually, no, we will return an empty list, just to show, okay, there's really not a file there, not any files that we can possibly read. Okay, so this is like list comprehension. I hope you are a little bit understanding what I'm talking about. Sometimes it's a little bit confusing, but hopefully you understand it. Again, lister just gonna list all the folders and directories. This whole list comprehension just gonna loop through all the files files and folder in this notes folder, and it's only gonna add to this list if the file indeed is a file. Alright, now let's take a look at open notes. So open notes is going to take in a title. This is the argument. What it's going to do is literally just going to return, it's just going to read the notes for us. It's going to return the notes, content. So here we can say this. We can say with open. We're going to use the f string, so we can use some Python expression here. Here we say f string notes / title sf. Return f.read. Alright, so notice that you might recognize, actually no, I forgot one more thing. I need to return files here. So we have return statements, so we can use the data. Okay, so now I can take a look that we have two contexts, we have two places now we have to dealing with file. One is write into a file, first creating a file, but then write it using f.write. But this time we can use f.read. Notice the difference is when we specify the status or mode that's want to read we want to do the stuff with the file. So what do we want to do with the file? This we didn't specify because by default it's R, so it means just plainly read the file. F.read, this .read message is going to return you with the contents in the file. Alright, so that's kind of neat. Alright, next then what we can do is we can go and get multi-line inputs. So now you can think that, okay, so we need something that that we cannot substitute with the O input. So let me show you some issues that we might encounter if we're using O input. For example, I can say input here, type your notes. Content, type your notes, content here. And in here, then I can go and type my notes content, for example, hello, but if I want to somehow use a new line, there's no way that I can use a new line. Right? There's no way I can use a new line. So get multi-line input just going to enable us to get multiple lines by pressing enter. And if you press enter twice in a row, that means, okay, you finished typing, I'm going to quit. Means that you finish inputting, and I'm going to return the data and proceed from next step. Alright? So in here then what we can do is this. Here I can say lines equals to a list, empty list, and here I can say while true, I will say line equals to input. Now you can see that input doesn't really have a prompt in it because as we all know, inputs need a prompt in it, so to display a message like this. Alright, input need a prompt, But you can see we didn't provide a prompt because you don't want to provide a prompt for every time the user is typing. That can be a little bit annoying. And then here I can say if line. Then I want to go and say lines.append line. So what's happening here is we're doing a simple conditional statements. Alright, I'm doing simple conditional statements. If line, in this case, what it's just checking is, did you type anything at all? Did you type anything at all? If you did, then we just want to append whatever you type to our lines here. Lines list here for maybe secondary processing. But then if you didn't, want to guard break. Alright. Want to guard break. Okay. So then finally what we want to do, it says. So I'm still a little bit confused on how it's actually allowing like double. Press enter, maybe check it double. I'm not sure about that. Because like, why does it? Because like you can press enter for one time, but you cannot press enter for another. Oh, you can keep typing contents in it. Okay, never mind. All right. Then in here I would say text equals to \n dot join lines. So it's just gonna happen. Just gonna return a string from using our lines list. It's just gonna return a string and join by \n, which means a new line. Alright, new line for each element as a type. For example, if our list is hello world, right? And it's gonna turn it into hello \n world. \n just means create a new line. Alright? And then we're just gonna say return text. Return text. Okay? So let me go through the process one more time because I created a little confusion there. Just want to clear it up. So what's happening here is first we got an empty array that's just empty list, just gonna store all the lines that we type. And here we got a quote-unquote infinite loop, which in here we always ask the user to type their input. If their input is, if their line is like, if they didn't type anything in the line, then we want to break. Otherwise, you just want to append it. I kind of do reversely, but if the user type anything at all, add it to the lines list. Otherwise, stop this whole loop. Alright, stop this whole loop from processing. And now you can see, then what we want to do is go ahead and change this list and change to a text that we can use for displaying or storing whatever we want. And then here we want to just say return text. Means we want to return the text that is joined by \n. Alright. Alright. Hopefully this understands a little bit more. If you don't understand anything, feel free to type in the chat and I will be happy to help you out. Alright. I will link the source code, this replit link, as well as the GitHub into the description down below as well. Alright. So now we're going to go ahead and talk about date time. So you can see we are kind of like this project will incorporate a lot of different things that you can commonly use with in Python. Alright, so we have so now what we're going to do is we're going to generate a current date. So recall that you might see from the first video that you can see the title of the note is timestamped. Okay, it's timestamped just for uniqueness purposes. So how can we create that? It's fairly simple. In fact, that's why I imported this datetime module that we can work with in Python. This built-in module. So in here, I'll just create a variable called now. Gonna be datetime the now. All right. Datetime dot now. So what's happening here is we're just getting a new datetime object of currently right now state. All right, right now state. However, if we go ahead and run this into this replit prompt here, you can see the time says it's November 7th. Well, I can show the clock here. It says November 6th on my MacBook clock. That's because the server or the runner that is currently compiling our code is not in the same time zone as I. In fact, it's in the UTC time zone, Universal Time stuff. So, but that doesn't really matter. The way, since we don't really work with timestamp anyway, we just use it for the title, just for our uniqueness. Keep it unique, so one file doesn't overwrite another file if have the same title. So then here what I will do is I will return now the stir from time. So what's this going to happen is it's going to taking a format string of how you want the time to be displayed. So I want the 6 information, year, month, day, hour, minute, second. The reason I want seconds is because just in case a user created 2 notes, 2 same notes with same title in a minute. This is possible, but a user cannot create 2 same notes in the same second. So then my format string going to be %y hyphen percent lowercase m, so uppercase y, lowercase m, hyphen percent lowercase d, hyphen percent h, colon, percent percent uppercase m, colon, percent s. Alright, so this is just our formatted string, and if you take a look, what's going to happen? Let me just store this into an arbitrary variable, and then let's see, d dot. Let me paste this here. Now you can see the string is formatted like this. All right, so it's 2020 -11 -07 -04 :41 :40. So that's the timestamp. That we can later work with. All right, I think I pretty much finished with the methods here. So we'll go ahead and finish with the method. And then the next video, which is going to be the final video, we're going to work on some CLI and deployments. Alright. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and generate an ID for the notes. Alright. So what does that mean is if you saw the demo from the first video, what's going to happen is each of nodes have a unique ID that user can type. Because user doesn't know the timestamp. We didn't display the timestamp to the user when it's created. So the user must, so then we will, once the user wants us to read a note, what we can then do is, well, let's just go ahead and generate a unique ID for the note. And then for whatever user they type, they can create a note. Alright. So in here, then what we're going to say is self.ns notes is equals to a dictionary. And if you think about dictionary, we're going to have a mapping. It's basically the ID mapping with the title. Alright, mapping with the title. And now you can see that we're taking a notes. Notes is basically, one second. Notes is basically what's the result from here. From this fetch all notes, which means this list right here. So that's what this notes item is. This is gonna have all the title of all the notes, so that we can generate a unique ID for it. So in here we just say count equals 1. So that's the start of our ID. And in here, go ahead loop through this notes. Maybe there's a more efficient way to do it. I think there's definitely efficient time to do it. And now notice that this is the first time, and maybe the final time, that I will assign a variable to self. So what's self? Again, self just reference to the instance that you created to the offspring of this class, basically, the instance of this class. And self, if you assign a variable explicitly, you can just imagine that self is a whole dictionary. Each variable that you assign, the name, which is after the dot, will be the key. After equals, which is the value, will be the value. And later we'll take a look how can we actually use these variables stored in the self. But now I can go and loop through this notes list. And in here I can say self.ns bracket count equals I. So basically what's count is, you can imagine, it's the actual ID. And this we're just going to create, so this is just how we can create a new, ID this is how we can create new key and value pairs, excuse me. So in here you can see that we got self dot ns bracket count. So for example, if the count is 1, I is just the title maybe is hello. Alright, so that was stored into the dictionary. And don't forget, we need to add 1 to our count. So count plus equals 1 for shortcut. And yes, we don't need to return anything. Again, because this self.ns is stored in our self. So we can reuse it from self directly. We don't need to return anything. Alright, so hopefully you understand most of these new methods that's been creating. Let's just run our replit. Obviously, it's just not gonna return any error. So let's take a look if everything works. Alright, so n equals to NoteSaver n dot fetch all notes. Hello? Yep, that's indeed what I expected. And dot open notes. Maybe gonna provide this hello as our title. Now I can see read the note successfully printed out. Nice. Let's take a look if our got multi-line inputs. That also work. Hi. Hello, you can see it working. Double press enter, done, and return with a backslash. Nice. Let's also take a look at current date, see if it works. It works. And generate ID of the notes. Of course, we won't see anything. Oops. And it's just gonna be self.fetch all notes. Excuse me, it's not self, it's n. And then we won't return anything, so what we can do then is n.ns. Now you can see this ID is mapped to the title of the notes. If there's more notes, it's obviously gonna run more. It's gonna have obviously more key and value pairs. Alright, so that's about it for this video. Again, if you have anything that you don't understand, feel free to comment down in the description down below or open the issue in GitHub. Next video, we're gonna talk about CLI and deployment to pip. But maybe next video after when I publish another form maker video, let me take a look just to see when do I publish these videos. But hopefully you enjoyed these videos. And if you have any question, again, please comment down below. Really appreciate you guys watching it. If you would like to, please consider like and subscribe if you haven't already. And yes, that's about it. So stay safe and have a nice day. Bye.